Kyle with DIY Auto Homeschool, and I've got a quicker video for you here today. I'm not going to go as in-depth on it because it's really a quick fix, actually. Usually it can end up being a alternative fix rather than replacing a power steering pump, which is what a lot of people would end up doing in this situation. So you got a, I think 2002 to 2007, that year range Honda. It happens on the 4 cylinders, happens on the 6 cylinders, but you get this bad power steering pump whine when you start it up, when you run it. And here in a second I'll start it and I'll let you listen to it. But it's very distinctive noise, and most people who work in the industry can pick out power steering pump whine real easy. But, so you hear this noise, and the instinct of a lot of people, incorrectly so, is to just jump at throwing a power steering pump on it, because a lot of the times that noise comes from, you know, the metal inside the pump being galded, destroyed, messed up. It's just whining and whining, and it's going to keep doing that. In this case, that's not always what it's coming from, and the fix I'm going to show you today, you should always try before you throw a pump on one of these, because it's a super cheap fix. It's super simple to do. It doesn't take long, and if that's all it is, then you're kind of doing yourself or a customer, if you're doing work for someone, a disservice if you throw a pump on this when it didn't need it. Especially since anymore you throw a reman pump on these and it's a roll of the dice whether you get a good pump or not. So I'm going to start this up. I'm going to let you take a listen to it, and you'll hear the noise, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to address it. That whining noise is coming from the power steering pump right here, and if you touch the pump, don't touch the pulley, but you touch the pump, you can actually feel the vibrations in it as it makes that noise. And that noise, to verify, you turn that steering wheel, and that noise will correspond with the steering wheel, but since it's driven by the engine, it'll also correspond to engine speed. I'll show you. Now, this one, with as bad as it sounds, and I'm not exactly sure how long it's gone on, this one might end up actually having galled the pump, or the inside of the pump, because what happens is the O-ring I'm going to show you, it's on the inlet side of the pump, and it just gets old, it deteriorates, and it starts to draw air in, and then the fluid aerates. And when you run aerated fluid through the pump, you can get that same noise. Problem is, you do that long enough and you can actually damage the power steering pump. So while this noise isn't always a damaged power steering pump, you let it go long enough and you'll end up damaging the power steering pump. So let's take this line off and I'll show you the O-ring I'm talking about. So this is the line that we're talking about here. It's the low pressure side, or it's the inlet side, sorry, and it's held on by a single 10mm head bolt. It's right down here, and you'll have trouble fitting a socket and a ratchet in between the timing cover here and that bolt, so you usually get down there with a 10mm wrench, and it's only going into an aluminum housing. It's not usually going to be that tight, but right there it's already broke loose, and we'll spin that bolt off. Now understand, this is a fluid line and it supplies the pump, so when you pull this off you're going to spill some fluid. Just be ready for that and be ready to clean it up. Let me grab a rag. So I'll take my rag and I'll feed it underneath here just to catch any, or what fluid I can. But once and I'm sorry because it's really hard to show down in here, but once you come in here, as I showed, come under this belt and get on that bolt and break it loose, this bolt will spin real easy. So then just come down here with your fingers and you can spin that bolt right out. And you don't want to drop the bolt, and that, I guess that rag is going to play double duty just in case I drop this bolt. Hopefully it'll catch it. But just kind of keep it pinched between your fingers so that when you get it loose, you can pull it out. And there's our bolt. We'll set it up here out of the way where we're not going to lose it. And then this line's going to come off. And we actually didn't spill hardly any. But this right here is that O-ring that seals, and I'll pull that off and show it to you. So here we go. Without damaging or gouging the plastic, just kind of push it up and off, and this O-ring is hardened and it's not doing the job that it is supposed to be doing. So we're going to go find a replacement. Okay, so here's our O-ring, and yes, you can go Honda, probably even other places, and you can buy this O-ring replacement. You can do that. But I've got this kit of O-rings, and I'm going to see first if I can't find one that is the same size or same fit or will work. If I can't, then we'll end up having to go get one, and that'll be the end of that. That one's a bit small. That might be a hair small, but I have a feeling the next one's going to be too big. Alright, so I've got one that might work, might just work. This is the O-ring that came out, and this is the one we're going to put in. And you can see this is hardened up, is squared off. We're going to put this O-ring in, we're going to see if we can make this thing work. Okay, so what you do want to do, and it seems a little odd, but take some of the fluid, just the power steering fluid that came off right there, and you want to lubricate this. It's okay to use the used power steering fluid in this case. So we're going to take this and we're going to push it back down around there, and it seems to have a nice snug fit, and we're going to see how well this looks like it'll work. And you know what? I have a feeling it's going to work. It's a nice tight fit, not so tight that it feels like it won't go down, because I was able to push it in by hand. But you don't want it to just fall on there, slide in with no resistance whatsoever, because you do want it to actually seal this inlet here. And let me tighten that bolt back down. Now, remember, you're going through plastic, and a lot of these plastic things, they are collared with like a brass sleeve that goes in there to help you keep from crushing it, breaking it. But you're going through plastic into the aluminum housing of a power steering pump, so you don't have to be He-Man. I'm sorry, or the Hulk, or whoever is big nowadays. So we've got that basically done. I really didn't spill any fluid to speak of. Couple drops, but the rag soaked them all up. So before I go and spray this all down, try to clean it all up, I'm going to start it. I'm going to see. It's probably going to make some noise, but I'm going to see if the noise goes down or goes away a little bit, and then I'm going to drive it and I'm going to see what it does. But let's just take a listen real quick. Okay, so obviously, yes, you still heard the noise, and that's not horribly uncommon. That fluid is still going to be aerated, it's still going to have some air in the system. You can do one of two things. You can either bleed the power steering system, which I'll have a video out before too long on how to bleed power steering systems once you've replaced anything, or you can take it out and you drive it, let it warm up. It'll work the fluid or the air out of the fluid itself. I'm going to take this out for a little bit of a drive, go around, and I'm going to see if that noise quiets down. I'll be honest, with the noise it was making and how bad it was, I have a feeling we may have gone long enough that we damaged the pump. But if you have a Honda this year range with a pump like that, or the inlet like that, you get this power steering noise start up. As soon as it starts up, you can do this. I don't think there's a person watching that can't grab a 10mm wrench and a rag, pull that off, and throw an O-ring on. I had to dig through the O-rings and find one. You go down, spend a couple bucks at a Honda dealer and buy the actual O-ring. You'll have no question whether it should fit or not. So this is always going to be something you want to try first before you just throw your own pump on if you're doing your own work. For those of you that work in the field, you probably run into this, seen this. Always a good first step to try. Even if you just tell the customer, hey, you may need a pump, but we can might be able to save you some money and just throw this O-ring on if you want us to try that first. A lot of times they'll do it because everyone wants to save a little money. So I'm going to drive this. I'm going to catch back up with you guys afterwards, and I'm going to let you know what it looks like this car is going to need. Okay, so I drove around a little bit. Radiator's pretty warm. Anyway, I drove around a little bit. It was just a little bit low on fluid, not enough that it would have been causing the issue. So I topped it up with fluid. But if you're lower on fluid than that, and you have to fill this thing up with fluid, make sure on these that you get the fluid that is rated to be used in Honda vehicles. I know a lot of people don't use it. They just put in Universal or whatever. Get the Honda fluid or the fluid for Asian vehicles, whatever it's designated as. So I think it's better. We're going to start it up and we're going to take a listen to it here real quick. Well, that is pretty much no noise whatsoever. Fans kicked on, all that, so there may have been just the slightest bit of noise. I didn't hear. I doubt it though. After I drove it a little bit, it really started to quiet down. So that right there, we got lucky that being however long it had been going, it hadn't actually damaged the pump. But like I said before, I don't think there's a person watching this video that couldn't do that. You got a 10mm wrench and an O-ring and a rag. That's all it takes. Like I've said before, a lot of this stuff is not hard. Don't believe that you can't do it just because it's fixing your own car and it's power steering, whatever. This stuff is not hard. There are jobs that I don't recommend an amateur try. There are jobs that I don't recommend you try on your own. This one, if you have a Honda, you get this noise, please try this before you ever take it to a shop. I mean, you can fix this for almost nothing. So, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.